Tennis star Alexandra Eala saves coach's life an emotional twist of fate. He helped my family. Now it's my turn. For Alexandra Eala, tennis was more than sport. It was family. Every victory, every challenge. Every match was tied to her roots in Manila, to the sacrifices her parents made, and a man who had trained her since she was a child. Coach Rafael "Rafa" Santos. Rafa wasn't just her coach. He was her mentor, her second father, the steady presence in her whirlwind life as a rising tennis star. When Alex was 14, Rafa had taken her under his wing during a period of hardship for her family. Her parents were struggling financially, and Rafa had quietly paid for extra training equipment and travel expenses. He never asked for repayment. He simply said, "The court is family, and family looks after family." That promise became a pillar of Alex's life. Every match she played, every trophy she chased, she played not just for herself, but for Rafa. What she didn't know was that fate was quietly preparing a twist she could never imagine. The day everything changed. It was a humid afternoon in Suzhou, hours before Alexandra's crucial WTA match. Rafa had gone to run errands before returning to the courtside for warm-ups. Suddenly, a call came to Alex's phone. It was urgent. Rafa had collapsed at a nearby cafe. A crowd had gathered. An ambulance was on its way. Alex didn't think twice. She sprinted across the parking lot, racket bag still on her shoulder. Her mind raced. Rafa had been with her through injury, doubt, and victory, and now he needed her. By the time she arrived, Rafa was conscious but struggling to breathe. Paramedics were working quickly, and Alex stayed close, holding his hand, whispering, "You helped me. Now let me help you." In that moment, the entire tennis world faded away. This was no longer about points, rankings, or prize money. This was about life. The emotional rescue. At the hospital, Alex paced the waiting room for hours. Her coaches and teammates offered reassurances, but Alex couldn't shake the worry. Rafa was not only her coach, he was family. When a doctor finally emerged, the news was grave. Rafa had suffered a cardiac event. Immediate surgery was necessary, and without it, his survival was uncertain. Alex didn't hesitate. She arranged everything, calling her family, speaking to the hospital administration, even arranging coverage for her upcoming match. Tennis could wait. Rafa's life could not. "He saved me countless times," she later said. "Not just in tennis, but in life. Now it was my turn." Her actions were swift, decisive, and selfless, but they were also deeply personal. The match that waited. Word spread quickly among fans and sports reporters. Alexandra Eala, already a rising star in the WTA, was sidelined not by injury, but by a personal crisis. Social media lit up with messages of support. "We stand with you, Alex. Family first, always. The heart of a champion is in you." When Rafa recovered enough to call her in the hospital room, he urged her to keep her focus. But Alexandra, sitting beside him, made a decision that stunned everyone. She postponed her match. "The court will wait," she said softly. "Rafa won't." That moment became a turning point, a reminder that in sport, humanity always comes first. The road to recovery. Rafa's surgery was successful, but the road to recovery was long. Alexandra visited him daily between training sessions, carrying not just flowers and fruits, but the stories of her matches, the laughter of the courtside, and her promise to keep fighting for him. Their conversations were a mix of tennis strategy and life lessons. Rafa, "Alex, the game teaches you patience." "Alex, but life teaches you courage." Through Rafa's recovery, Alexandra grew not just as a player, but as a person. She began to see tennis not merely as a career, but as a privilege, and her victories as shared moments with those who had sacrificed for her. The comeback match. 3 months later, Alexandra stepped back onto the court at the WTA qualifiers in Wuhan. It was her first tournament since Rafa's collapse. The stands were filled not only with fans, but with whispers of admiration. Alexandra's comeback was more than athletic. It was deeply human. Before her match, Alexandra pulled Rafa aside, his still weak hand in hers. "This is for you," she said. Rafa smiled, tears in his eyes. "Play with heart. That's all I ever taught you." And she did. Every point, every rally was charged with emotion. The match wasn't just a fight for ranking points. It was a tribute to Rafa's life and their shared journey. When Alexandra won, she didn't fist pump alone. She ran to Rafa, embracing him in the center court. The crowd erupted, not just for her victory, but for the story of resilience behind it, the emotional statement. After her match, Alexander made a statement that resonated far beyond tennis. He helped my family when we needed it most. Now it's my turn to help him. That's what family means. That's what being a champion means. Her words echoed through sports media. Headlines called it the most emotional moment in tennis this year. Social media filled with hashtags. Hashtag Alexandra Eala, hashtag he helped my family, hashtag now it's my turn. For many, it wasn't just a tennis story. It was a story of humanity, loyalty, and love, a movement of gratitude. Alexandra's story inspired others. Young athletes began speaking publicly about coaches who had shaped their careers. Fans began honoring the mentors in their own lives. In Manila, Alexandra's home city, schools organized events called Family First, lessons from Alexandra Eala. For Alexandra, it was never about recognition. It was about paying forward the love she had received. This is bigger than tennis, she said in an interview. It's about respect, gratitude, and giving back. Legacy beyond the court. Years later, Alexandra would look back on that moment as a defining chapter in her life. Not because of the wins she earned afterward, but because of the life she saved. Her relationship with Rafa deepened beyond coach and player. They became an unbreakable team bound by trust, respect, and shared history. Alexandra dedicated part of her foundation to mentor young athletes and support coaches in need. She knew her victories weren't hers alone. They belonged to Rafa, to her family, and to the spirit of giving that had shaped her journey. The final reflection. On a quiet evening in Manila, Alexandra sat with Rafa by her side, watching the sunset. Her phone buzzed with messages about her latest victory, but her mind was elsewhere. He helped my family. Now it's my turn. Those words had been her anchor. They had carried her through doubt, pain, and triumph. They had transformed her not just into a champion on court, but a champion of life. As Rafa squeezed her hand, Alexandra knew this was more than a story of tennis. It was a story of humanity. And humanity, she realized, was the greatest victory of all. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.